evening. My name is Eugene Peterson, and I'm chair of the Anne Arundel County Human Relations Commission. The commission is generally asked
Recording in progress.
to make sure that, as our slogan in the county says, we're out to make this the best place for all. And that means that in general, we want to address alleged acts of discrimination wherever they may happen in the county. We also have statutory responsibility. Back in, I believe it was 2020, we were given statutory responsibility because the county council passed housing discrimination legislation, and they tasked us with implementing that statute. What that calls for is if anybody believes they've been the victim of an alleged housing discrimination action, they can go to the county website and go to the Human Relations Commission webpage, and there they will find access to a complaint form that is both in English and can be translated in a number of languages. And then we will review the complaint of alleged discrimination, and we will do one of the following things. If it's something that another agency in the county might deal with, like disability rights issues, we will forward it to them. If it's a statewide issue in terms of housing discrimination, we would forward it to state. But if it is within our jurisdiction as adjudged by Director Smith, then we would have the option to first try to negotiate resolution of the alleged complaint. And if that was unsuccessful, we could have a hearing, and we're given the powers having a hearing to issue subpoenas, gather information, and where it is required, issue fines. In the last legislative session, we were given a responsibility, I believe it was actually 2024, we were given the responsibility to address public facility discrimination and employment discrimination. In public facility discrimination, we're looking at public places like restaurants, meeting places, sporting events, etc., where a person feels they've been guilty of public discrimination in a public facility, discrimination in a public facility. They can also go to our web page and file a complaint with us, and we would take similar action to what we would take with housing discrimination. In employment discrimination, we're talking about private employment situations throughout the county where the individual or individuals feels that they have been the victim of alleged discrimination. And so we would again encourage those that believe that to file a complaint with us, and then we will take the actions that I outlined when we're looking at housing discrimination complaints. The one exception is that county employees are exempt from our review of complaints. That will still be handled by the county, I assume by the Office of Law and what other statutes the county has in terms of individual complaints of alleged discrimination within the county workforce. Having said that, I would now turn to Secretary Daydoni, Commissioner Daydoni, who would call the roll.
Commissioner Peterson, may I ask you to do that? I am
Yes.
eating a cracker.
Oh, that's fine. Would you like me to take the roll? Okay. Commissioner Peterson, present. Commissioner Lida.
Present.
Okay. Commissioner Newman.
Present.
Commissioner Michaels.
Present.
And Commissioner Daydoni is present.
Having finished my cracker, I see
Yeah.
Commissioner Gaskin is present
Oh, that's right. Commissioner Gaskin, sorry.
and
Commissioner
Commissioner Sorrow is present.
Okay.
Commissioner Jaden Ferris has joined us. And a face new to me, Commissioner Yu, not a guest.
She's part of the Arundel TV.
She's a part of the Office of Equity and Human Rights, and it's GOO.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And of course, we have Dr. Nikki with us too.
And Chad McFarlane has joined us.
Okay. All right. Believe we have a quorum, so we will move on to our next item on the agenda. Since we've done the roll call, I'm asking for a motion to take deferred action and move the consideration of the July minutes to our meeting in September. Is there a motion to do that?
Oh, most definitely there's a motion to do that, says the secretary. Move to defer the July meeting minutes to the September meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Starr, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed to this action? Hearing none, the motion has passed. Okay, so I'd now like to preface moving to our next agenda item by talking about why we're going to spend some time tonight talking about strategic planning. Last Sunday, and unfortunately, I had a physical problem, was unable to attend, but the Stalwart Committee, headed up by our Vice Chair, Commissioner Michaels, had a strategic planning retreat starting at 10 and going on through 2 o'clock. The purpose of having this retreat is twofold. One is to develop a work plan for this coming year, 2025, and 2026, 2025, 2026. And also to look at long-term actions that the commission might take. And also, and I would hope we'd vote on this tonight, to set up a calendar for us that would lock us into how many meetings are going to be hybrid this year, how many are going to be Zoom, how many meetings we're going to take off. We're only required by statute to have 4 commission meetings, but we normally do at least 8 or more. So having said this to sort of be the entree for Commissioner Michaels and Director Smith, I'll turn it over to them. So.
And I'll defer to Commissioner Michaels as
Okay.
the chair of the executive committee.
Thank you so much, Director Smith. Please, Director Smith, when I get off the tracks, please bring me back on to the track. Okay. Hi, everybody. So in 2024, it was decided that beginning in January of 2025, that the commission voted, if I'm correct, to begin a strategic planning subcommittee. And we did that. We met in January. We sent out some information to the group. And this was based on the fact that Commissioner Sorrow, who was so kind, along with Director Smith, to send, sort of along what the, don't you just love when you have your paper in front of you and then you don't know what you did with it? Said, here's the charter. There it is. Here's the charter, and this is what the commission is authorized to do. Address complaints and do education and training and make recommendations to the county executive and to collaborate with federal, state, and local commissions and agencies and groups. And then, how are we going to do that? And what should we do first? Who's on first, who's on second? So Commissioner Gaskin gave us some great information along with Director Smith and the staff, Chanel at the office. And we came up with the idea that we should do a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. And we sort of put a little bit of a SWOT analysis together. We reached out to the commission to respond. Nobody responded. So then we moved beyond that. And I had a meeting with the president, the commission, President Peterson, and we decided that we would do a straw poll. And we sent the straw poll out. We had about 6 returns, and we came up with the fact that the Human Relations Commission wanted to focus on a strategic plan, and there were many different areas, from the mediation to adopt rules of procedure and so on and so forth. Still very broad terms. So we got together Sunday a week ago, I think, if I'm correct. And we hashed out a plan. And the thing is that when you're doing strategic planning, Director Smith was so kind to guide us that we first have to make a plan, right? So make a plan, work the plan. And so the first thing we did is, what are we planning to do? So to give you a little bit of idea, and I don't know if all of the commissioners have access to the strategic planning document from August. Actually, it's been updated August 18th. But we only got to the very first part, and that is to plan the plan, right? And to review the stages. So the first thing that we wanted to do is to make sure the board and the staff understood that strategic planning was important. And I think the commission has already decided that. They felt it is important, and we needed to set aside some time in the board meeting to discuss it. And so we did that actually at the end of 2024, and we're moving ahead with those procedures. One of them was to discuss and agree on a process, which is involving each step. And during that time, it involves drafting, reviewing, reporting on, what the schedule is going to be for the strategic planning committee. I think it was decided that we are going to meet once a month prior to the commission meeting, if I'm correct, and continue with the process. We needed to agree on time for planning, which we did once a month. Typical planning period is. We needed to agree on how long this strategic plan is going to take place, and it was really good because there was discussion between 3 and 5 years, but we settled on 4 years because of elections, if I'm correct. People that are elected are mostly elected for 4 years. And if this is all done by 2026, we hope to have this strategic plan completed by the end of the year. That will kick off the 2026 sort of year of new people being in their positions, in elected positions, and they'll go for 4 years, which will take us to 2030. A lot of discussion we had was about having facilitators. Director Smith, I don't remember the one doctor, I think, that you brought up, a woman who thought you could help. And then we were also going to talk about an outside facilitator. And we have a great women-based organization, Due East Partners here in Annapolis. I have reached out to them, waiting on a call back. And we're going to see if we can get some either pro bono work or very inexpensive help in at least helping us start the process of the strategic plan and everything that we need to include. We have a lot of responsibilities as a Human Relations Commission, but there's no way we're going to be able to do this all, not the strategic plan, but do all our responsibilities as a commission in 1 year. So the idea is to break it down into smaller bites, I believe, and those smaller bites, it's going to be easier to accomplish the goals. I think that one of the most important things that was discussed was the fact that as a commission, we want to make a difference. We want to, we have been making so much progress. If you really look at where we were and where we're going, because of Director Smith, because of, even the grant that they got for Dr. Nikki to come on board, that we've expanded the commission in some ways. We're taking on new people. The idea is let's keep going. I think we all are aware that democracy is changing. I don't know how all of you in your jobs might be affected by what's happening sort of outside our world, but in the world that I work in, we see more suffering. We are seeing more hate. We are seeing more need. And so I think it's important for me, I'm speaking for myself, I believe it's important that the Human Relations Commissions step up and be there to help guide and advocate for people who can't do it for themselves. And so the idea of a strategic plan is to decide what exactly we can get are involved in and what we need to sort of stay away from. As I said before, a lot of our duties as put out through the charter is about complaints, education and training, making recommendations to the county executive to collaborate with federal, state, and local commissions. But, also I think, just thought of this right now, but it's also to report to the county executive so that he knows what we are doing that is making a difference in the county for the constituents and the people that come to us. So we're just at the plan to plan stage, but during that great 4-hour meeting, we've gotten it to the point, and I think yeah. So Director Smith, where am I on, off? Where am I good, bad?
Okay, I think great job in capturing the process that that you went through on Sunday and the scope of the work. I think now it's just a question of focusing on the individual recommendations, and if you have those in front of you, then feel free to go through them. If you need a little support, I'm happy to.
Yeah, I think I need some support on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. No problem. Okay, so I'm going to start with the calendar recommendations that the executive committee
Correct.
made. Okay. So the executive committee recommends that the commission meet each month in the fiscal year, except for December 2025. It's further recommended that the commission refrain from meeting in July and August each year. The
Yeah.
commission would be active during those months despite a recess from commission meetings. Should immediate needs arise, the commission is authorized to convene call meetings as necessary, and that's in the bylaws. So that's the first calendar recommendation. The second calendar recommendation is that commission meetings are held in person 4 times for the next fiscal year. That would be September 2025, November 2025, April 2026, and June 2026. The next set of recommendations pertain to monthly meeting presentations. As you know, the commission receives presentations from various groups. Some of them are annual, some of them come up as issues become relevant. So the executive committee has suggested that the commission entertain presentations on the following subjects at monthly meetings during the fiscal year. In no particular order, they are community survey data from the Office of Equity and Human Rights, a hate bias presentation from the police department, a presentation from AACPS regarding hate bias incidents and prevention efforts in schools, a review of the community attitude survey from Dr. Nataf at the community college, a presentation on DEI, the scope of which is to be determined, a presentation from the County Executive's Office of Multicultural Affairs, a presentation on homelessness and housing, and a presentation on transportation equity. With respect to activities for the new fiscal year, the commission recommends continuing to sponsor and support the following annual activities. Support the Affordable Housing Symposium on October 22nd. Engage in legislative planning for the Maryland General Assembly session for 2026. The session will be from January 14th through April 13th. Participation in annual Unity Day, which will be on March 17th of 2026. An annual Hate Bias Forum, the date of which is to be determined. The Dallas Pace Award and Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast celebration. Those would be activities that the commission has already participated in the past. So it's continuing support for those. In addition, the executive committee recommends the following new activities: listening sessions or public comment during select monthly meetings, participation in a second boards and commission mixer, tabling and participating in local events, including but not limited to the Pride Parade, the Juneteenth Parade and Festival, the Hispanic Health Fair, and the Kunta Kinte Festival. An event intended to address community divisions, such as those that arose during discussions about school redistricting. An event that allows various stakeholders to report on the impact of federal activity on different groups in the county. and a general social media reel about the commission to generate public awareness. The next set of recommendations are general recommendations, not necessarily monthly meeting activities. The executive committee recommends adding the workforce demographic dashboard to the commission's website, responding to Dr. Nataf's presentation. And Dr. Nataf, you might recall, was from the community college. He presented to the commission back in April. Evaluating the commission's roster for vacancies, engaging with commissioners who may be unable to commit to commission activities at this time, exploring commission badges and apparel, distribution of a commissioner guide to new and incoming commissioners, and recitation of the role of commissioners at the opening of each meeting. Those are the recommendations that have been made for the current fiscal year 26.
Thank you, Director Smith. You
You're
did
welcome.
that way better than I ever could.
Thank you.
I see that Commissioner Ferris has a question.
Could we get this document circulated? If possible. Or if I may have missed it in an email.
Yes. Director Smith, I think we're able to do that. Is that correct?
I don't have any objections to doing that. I don't know if
It was just a long list, so I didn't get
it was very long, yes. But, I don't have any objections to doing that.
Other, let me see if I can see if there's any other questions. Is there any, is it appropriate now to ask for discussion, or is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So is there any discussion from any of the commissioners not on the strategic planning committee for these particular suggestions? Any motions anybody wants to make?
I move that we adopt the recommendations that were presented to us from the Strategic Planning Committee as they were presented, subject, of course, to review by this body throughout the year.
I second that motion.
I'll also second it, but I'll
And
start
at that
discussion.
point, we now go to discussion of the motion.
Yeah, right. We go to discussion, and I have Commissioner Ferris. So.
Okay. I guess I'm not opposed to meeting in person, but I don't get the difference between meeting in person and on Zoom. If we're like currently, obviously, as a commission, we obviously have more work to do, and like with community outreach and whatnot. But I don't get the difference of what meeting in person will do than online. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let me take a shot at that. I think the idea was that if we meet in person, these would be a hybrid meeting. So if for any reason, and I'm not saying that, we'd have half of our commission not, but if we had commissioner had a good reason not to be at that meeting, and Commissioner Ferris, I know you're going to college, so you have some things that you have to work through. But if that were the case, then the hybrid meeting would allow for commissioners to participate. And I see two hands up. So I'll go with Commissioner Sarah. I believe you were first.
I think Commissioner Daydoni had her hand up first.
Sorry.
I don't think it matters, but thank you. I believe, and here I'm going to ask Director Smith to check me, that the intent was that they would not be hybrid meetings because if there were a hybrid option, we wouldn't get the people together. I will offer that I have observed that some of us are more effective and very comfortable and engaged with hybrid meetings. And at the same time, I've heard other commissioners ask almost passionately for in-person meetings because those are more meaningful and engaging for them.
Were you done, Commissioner Daydoni?
I just can't lower my hand.
Okay, I just wanted to, I wanted to jump in and share Commissioner Ferris's concern about or comments about having the in-person meetings. I think that maybe a special event meeting in person would be appropriate, and I would be on board for that. However, it tends to be that those who are, this is not going to be a popular position, but it tends to be that those who are most vocal about having in-person meetings tend not to make it to the in-person meetings. That at least that has been in the past. And I really would like to have the participation of everyone. And I think it makes participation much more inclusive and accessible to those who are working during the day and may have commitments at night that they can't get to Annapolis or wherever our meeting place would be. I think that having them in person or having them in person, even hybrid, excludes the participation of people for whom it's difficult to participate and get there in person. I also think it's really a lot to ask of our county staff people that support us for these meetings to find the space, arrange for the technology. Doing technology for a hybrid meeting is not simple. And someone has to be there. And if it's just going to be a few people in person and several people online, it in my experience, it tends to be that the people online don't have the same experience and are not given the same opportunity to participate. So that is my view. I do believe in the value of having people together in the same room. But for just a regular meeting like we're having tonight or discussion like this, I think that the value of having more of our members be able to attend outweighs the benefits of being in person. So that's my pitch on this, and I will stop now.
Yeah, you said it more eloquently than I could. I'm gonna hop off of talking about the calendar for a second, if you don't mind. I have a suggestion to the document. Something I noticed that wasn't included is like a commission retreat. I feel like that would be beneficial. In person, of course, because retreats are better in person. Because I don't think I've like met most of anyone here in person. Mostly because we really haven't had many in-person meetings, but I feel like some team building activities or whatnot would be helpful as we strategically plan. So I motion to include that in the document, that we have a retreat within the next year.
I believe that comes in as an amendment to the motion or as an addition to the motion after we vote on the motion currently on the table.
That's correct.
Thank you, Faye. I depend on your head nod.
Yeah, I can't find my raised hand. I was going to say that we have a motion on the floor that we need to discuss and resolve first. And then we can do.
We can take up Commissioner Ferris's motion.
I would, I'm sorry, I'm just going to start talking because I put my hand up. I think that when we do get to Commissioner Ferris's motion, after we vote on this motion, so I don't forget to say, I think even having not a hybrid meeting, but a hybrid to this first motion might be beneficial, because I do believe in the 4 hours that the strategic planning group was together, we accomplished a lot. Ergo, Director Smith's report, which helped me tremendously. That in-person retreat might be a way then to help that the other meetings, as Commissioner Shar said, might make it easier, and we might actually accomplish more in just one fell swoop of a retreat, because that's what we're trying to do. I believe is we're trying to get everybody to meet each other and to help us plan the plan, right? And once we have a few more strategic planning sessions under our belt, we will have more to bring to a retreat. So if we can vote, so I guess, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but if we can vote on this motion so that we can get to an amendment, then let's go and do that.
I'm going to ask a question first of fellow Commissioner Michaels and fellow Commissioner Gaskin. Commissioner Michaels, is your suggestion that we include in our calendar for the coming year a commission retreat in person, not hybrid, to focus on the strategic plan recommendations once we have finished the planning for the plan?
I think that's what I was suggesting too.
Yeah. I think the further we are along with the strategic plan and accomplish some of these goals that we've set out for the strategic plan, it makes total sense to me to then have a retreat with the full commission, because it is about getting everybody on board and for them to see, sort of a group, as Commissioner Ferris said, group building exercises and motivational, movement, so that we start the 2026 year with a lot of forward movement. And so maybe one way to help resolve the in-person meeting situation is to counter it with the retreat, so that we aren't asking the staff to have a building open or work. And the only other suggestion I think that actually did come up at our strategic planning meeting is instead of making the staff having to work at their office where you have to have keys and security and all this other stuff, is I think it was brought up that maybe we host it at a place for the in-person meeting, commission meeting. And I don't know, maybe, oh no, I guess you can't do that, right? Because you have to record it and all that kind of stuff.
It can be recorded at other sites as well.
I see. I thought the public is listening in right now. I'm not sure, but anyway, is that able to, I don't know. I don't want to get too far off the path here.
I would like to continue my question then to Commissioner Gaskin, if I may.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gaskin, this is a parliamentarian's question. At this point, is it possible for me to amend my motion and then ask for a second to the amendment, or do we have to, should I rescind the motion?
No, someone can make a friendly amendment to it, but then they have to be seconded as well.
May I make my own friendly amendment to the motion?
This is what I was going to suggest, to pick up on what Commissioner Ferris said.
Yeah, Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to amend the motion.
You were trying to amend the
Yeah, we didn't
calendar
have to, like,
portion of the motion.
yeah,
Okay.
but you
So-
can't amend an amendment of an amendment.
Right.
Amendment.
And then we
Exactly.
vote on the amendment, and then we vote on the motion, on the amended motion.
Yep, you would. That's exactly what we said.
Okay. How do we get
So if
that?
I understand all of the discussion, can I take a crack at making the friendly amendment to our
Yes.
calendar portion of the motion, if you will? So my amendment would be that we have all hybrid meetings except for the January meeting each year, at which point we would come together as a commission in a retreat setting, and at which point we would then discuss the strategic plan for that year. Because if we're gonna do a strategic plan, and we wanted to ensure that it's a 4-year strategic plan, but we go back and we review the strategic plan and make tweaks as necessary. So we have the hybrid meetings throughout the year, but every January the commission will come together in person, but it would be an extended meeting, which will also serve as the commission's retreat. So that would be the amendment to the calendar portion of our recommendations, if that makes sense.
I
Yeah.
second
Was
that.
that picking up what you wanted, Commissioner Ferris?
Yeah,
Okay, is there a second?
second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Barris. So now we can go back to the main motion.
Commissioner Sorrow had her hand up for, I guess, for discussion of the amendment.
I did, and I don't know if it would need to be part of the amendment or not, but I do want to be respectful of the staff that supports us. And if we are only going to have 1 or 2 people attending in person for a hybrid meeting, I don't think we should have a hybrid meeting. I think we should have an online meeting. I don't think it would be very effective, and I also don't think it would be very efficient or, for that matter, courteous to staff to have to do a 1 or 2 person in-person meeting.
Right.
Misspoke. I
Commissioner,
misspoke. I meant to say a Zoom meeting, a virtual meeting,
That's what I
except
thought.
for
That's what I thought we were going for. Thank you, Commissioner Gaskin. That's what I thought we were going for.
Okay. So is there any further discussion? Is everybody clear, all commissioners, what we're voting on at this point in time?
I'm clear that we're voting on the amendment, which is worded to say that we'll have hybrid Zoom meetings except for the January meeting, which will be in person.
I
No.
think that's wrong.
the correct. It's we would have all Zoom virtual meetings except for the January meeting, which would be in person, and
And it
that
includes a retreat.
that would serve as our commission's retreat.
You're right, I said hybrid. It is all Zoom
All Zoom, yeah.
virtual meetings.
Virtual.
Now I'm clear. I apologize. Thank you for checking on me, Commissioner Sorrow and Commissioner Peterson.
Not a problem. Anybody else need any clarification? Okay, the motion on the floor has been brought to us. Let me recap. Secretary, who brought the motion? Who seconded?
We are voting on the amendment.
Oh, we're
We're
voting on.
voting to amend the motion.
Okay. So we're voting to amend the motion. So we can go to a vote
So
now.
move that we amend the motion.
Okay. So do we need a second to that?
Right.
I'll second.
Okay.
All right.
It's already been recorded as seconded by Commissioner Ferris.
Any discussion? Oh, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries on the friendly amendment. So now we should go back to the motion that basically adopts all the recommendations of the
Amendment.
retreat.
With the exception that we all commission meetings will be virtual via Zoom, except for the January meeting, which will
Right.
be in person,
Yeah,
focus on the strategic plan.
because that's the amendment that.
Do I have a second to, do we need a second at this point, Commissioner Gaston, to the original amended motion? Do we need another seconding?
Well, no, it was already on the table. So
Right. So we just did that. We amended that one portion of it.
Yeah, so it's already on the table. So we can vote to move the recommendations forward. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
All those, any opposed? Discussion, opposed? Okay. Now, I want to thank everybody for helping us get through this. And we're moving forward with a plan now. And I want to thank the members of the executive committee. This will be an ongoing effort. As Commissioner Michaels said, who's chairing this subcommittee, it's going to meet every Thursday before our Thursday regularly scheduled commission meeting. So if you are interested in participating and being part of this effort, you're welcome to join. And I would ask either Commissioner Michaels or Director Smith to send out an email to the whole commission that would basically invite them to these meetings.
Commissioner, Director Smith, if you would like together, I would like to put together an email, and you can check my work or whatever and help me with it, and that way we know we get it right.
Certainly, the revised notes are available, and if you would like to send whatever you put together to me, I'm happy to take a look at it.
And these minutes are being recorded so that we have a good basis to check the boxes, so we know we have it all right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we're a little ahead of schedule here. I'd like to ask Director Smith to give us your report and introduce. Is it a new staff member?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. First of all, good evening, everyone. My report today is going to be rather brief. The first thing that I would like to touch on is this commission submitted a letter in support to the county executive in support of a request for an apology for slavery and a discussion on reparations. The county executive has made the decision to coordinate a day of reckoning around slavery, the history of slavery in this country, the legacy of slavery, and this will be a day of community education, a day for discussion. This will be held on November 1st, which is Emancipation Day in Maryland, and the event will take place at Maryland Hall. Additional details will be forthcoming, but I did want to bring it up here because this commission was a part of the request. The request also came from Cal, as I think you might know. So that will be happening. It's being scheduled and planned at this time. And so details will be made available as they're available. The second thing that I would like to do, and I'm actually going to yield my time to Dr. Nikki and to Ziyu Gu. They are with us today. They are on They're part of the Office of Equity and Human Rights. You guys know that Dr. Nikki is the project manager for the Shepherd Bird Hate Crimes Grant, which is now been expanded to be called the Anne Arundel County Hate Bias Prevention Program. Dr. Nikki, not too long after she joined our staff, she hired Ziyu Gu, who is a data analyst. And she's very competent, she's very capable. In these meetings, Dr. Nikki and Ziyu will be presenting the hate bias data that I usually present to you because they are actually analyzing it with Ziyu's talents and skills. They're looking at trends, they're looking at lots of things, so you'll get a more in-depth analysis. Today, they're going to be presenting the monthly update for July, in addition to a more comprehensive overview of the hate bias data for from January through July. So this would be the semi-annual report of the data that you typically get. And so I'm going to turn it over to them so that they can do that presentation. And I've neglected to mention that Chad McFarlane is with us from the police department. He is, the ranks always elude me, but I want to say he is Captain McFarlane still as of today. And so Captain McFarlane has been working very closely with Dr. Nikki and her team on the hate bias program. Okay. Dr. Nikki?
Thank you, Director Smith. I won't say much. You did all the introductions. Thank you, Captain McFarlane, soon to be, I think, Commander as of September, to the meeting. ZU, do you want me to share the presentation, or you will?
I can share it now.
Okay.
All right. Great. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. So this is a hate bias incident summary that's updated by July this year. So today we're going to first go over some definitions, and then we will be going into the data. We will look at the comparison, the month-to-month comparison for the total incidents. We'll look into the type, the bias type, offender and victim information, location, place, as well as the outcomes of these hate bias incidents. And we'll have time for questions at the end. So first of all, there are two terms that we usually use. The first one is hate crime, and the second one is hate bias incidents. So to be classified as a hate crime, the behavior, the underlying behavior itself, need to already be criminalized under state or federal law. So things like threatening to attack a place of worship, or assault someone, injure someone, or destroy property. So those are actions that are already classified as a crime. But when the activity motivated by bias does not meet that definition, it is considered a hate bias incident. So things like verbal abuse, degrading language, distributing hate literature in public places. So a person who committed a hate bias incident may not be subjected to arrest or prosecution by law enforcement. So today in our data, we're going to cover all of the hate bias incidents. So some of them might be qualified as a hate crime under further review, but these are all the hate bias incidents. And the data are generously provided by the Anne Arundel County Police Department, and these are all based on 911 reports. So let's first look at the total incidents. Here I have a comparison between 2024 highlighted in red and 2025 highlighted in blue. So in 2024, there's a total of 77 incidents from January to July. And in 2025, there's been a 10% increase in the total numbers. So that would be 85 incidents. So if you want to take a look at the month-to-month comparison here, for July, the incidents are still updated as they come. And when we look at incident type, simple assault is the most common type of hate bias incident. So that's 24.7% of all incidents, 21 incidents in total. And that's followed by these non-criminal incidents, miscellaneous incidents at 22.4%, and destruction of property and vandalism, that would be 12.9%. That's 11 incidents. And on the graph, you can see just a list of different types of incidents we have here. There's a large range of activities. So I'll pause so you can read a little bit.
Commissioner Dadone, you have your hand up.
Yes, and thank you. Further definition, distinction between simple assault and aggravated assault, and what sort of things fall under the category of miscellaneous non-criminal incident.
So I'll ask Captain McFarlane to jump in for a definition of simple assault versus aggravated assault, sir, if you can.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me on. I'm happy to answer your question, Commissioner Dadone. Simple assault in Maryland constitutes an unwanted touching of any kind would be considered a simple assault. It could range from a brush, a push, to a fight. Aggravated assaults are a little bit more serious. They can include a weapon of some sort. They can and usually have a means of which there is a stronger likelihood for serious bodily harm. So that would be the definition between the two.
Thank you. ZU, can you respond to the miscellaneous? I think it's a bucket for everything.
Yeah, I think that's just any small incident that's not the rest of them. Yeah, it could be as small as like, I couldn't have an example on top of my head, but just something very trivial and it's non-criminal.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain. Deputy Commissioner Michaels?
I have a question about simple assault is the most common type of hate bias, 21 incidences. So we see that in the powder blue. So in the dark blue, those are incidences, even though it does say non-criminal on a couple of them, miscellaneous, harassment. I'm confused.
They're all incidents.
Okay.
The light blue is simply highlighted because it's the highest number and we wanted it to stand out on the graph.
Okay.
These are all considered hate bias incidents based on the definition that ZU gave on the previous.
So everything on this list is a hate bias and not a crime.
Correct.
So you can have theft, but it's not a crime. I'm just looking at every line item and I'm saying to myself, burglary in a commercial, so commercial property, I'm assuming like a store, where someone takes something from a store. I don't know. I'm just suggesting that's not a crime. It's just
these and Captain McFarlane, you can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. So again, these are incidents that are reported to 911 and have not been classified as a crime yet. Some of them can elevate to a crime, but we are reporting on incidents.
I see. Okay. Okay, so they could be turning into a crime, but there's so many of them that maybe
once investigated, yes. Director Smith, Captain McFarlane, I hear you jumping in.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and make a distinction here. These are crimes under the law. Whether they rise to the level of being a hate crime versus hate bias incident is a different story. So a theft in any shape or format is a crime, and we will be charging for that under that statute.
Right.
We charge for a hate crime in that incident. We may or we may not, depending on the probable cause, the facts of the crime, things like that. So that's what this is.
Gotcha. Okay, that's more clear. Thank you.
All right, so here I just have a display of the incident type by month. So you can kind of see what types of incidents there are in each month. And this is also a month-to-month comparison between 2024 and 2025. Again, these are also included in the report that's sent out. So in terms of hate bias type, 62.6% of hate bias incidents were motivated by race, ethnicity. And there are some other categories like sexual orientation, national origin, religion, gender identity, and homelessness. So here, each hate bias incident may have been categorized to up to 2 hate bias types. So this means that for each incident, sometimes a bunch of hate languages might be thrown around that's motivated by race and sexual orientation, for example. So we classify up to 2 types of hate bias. Now talking about
I'm
the
sorry.
oh,
I'm sorry. I can't. I don't know why. I have a new computer and I can't figure out how to get to my stuff. So does that mean that it may be counted in 2 places?
sorry, can you repeat your question?
I said, does that mean, because you said it could be there could be a hate bias incident that could include race, ethnicity, for instance, as well as sexual orientation. And you said you count up to 2. So does that mean it could possibly be counted into 2 places on here on your graph? So if there's one incident, but it involved multiple types of hate bias,
Yes.
would you
Yes.
put it so they'd be counted in 2 different places? So it's double counted?
Yes, correct. And when we look at the offenders, so for this year, for 2025, from January to July, 55.4% of the offender is identified as white on the police report. That would be 46 offenders. And 56% of hate bias incidents had one identifiable offenders. So in some incidents, it's categorized as 0 offender when there's not really an identifiable offender. Like if there's a destruction of property and nobody saw it, there's no information on that, it usually not counted as an offender on the report. And as for victims, 45% of victims also identified as white on the police report, and 45% of hate bias incidents had 0 individual victim. So when we talk about like 0 victim in the case, it could be cases of destruction of property or something related to like a vehicle, a building. So those are counted as 0 identifiable individual victims. In terms of location, 38% of hate bias incidents occurred at Glen Burnie, followed by Brooklyn at 11% and Annapolis at 9%. And most of the hate bias incidents occurred at residence home. That would be 20% of all incidents. And that's followed by church, synagogue, temple, mosque at 8%, and school buildings at 8%. So you can also take a look at all the location type or the places type here. And this is the outcomes. So these are updated by July, so these may be updated later on as well. So for the ones that already have an outcome, 21% of hate bias incidents resulted in an arrest. So that would be 18 incidents, and 44 incidents did not result in an arrest. And 24% of hate bias incidents were charged. So these were the ones that were resulted in an arrest and charged, or in certain cases, no one was arrested, but there were charges. So that's all for what we have here. Now we're open to questions if there are any more questions here.
Thank you, ZU. The report also was sent to you prior to the meeting, probably about 30 minutes prior to the meeting. And please do not distribute to anyone. It stays within the commission, please. Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Sorrow?
Yeah, I was intrigued by the fact that the incidents can be reported. One incident may be reported in multiple types of or with multiple bases for the bias. Are you finding that when there is a hate bias incident, it's motivated by multiple types of bias, or is it usually just one or another? Or I could see race, ethnicity, but is it often maybe race, ethnicity, and some other form of bias?
Z, you want to respond to that?
Yeah,
And Captain McFarlane, if you want to jump in after.
Yeah, so the hate bias type, I can go back to that slide. Oops. Here, so the hate bias type, usually we decide, we code the data by reading the description of the incident. So the way we did it was just to capture the language or the incidents based on the description. And I would say that a lot of these incidents were categorized to two different types of hate bias. And I think a lot of it really, it's not anything sophisticated, if that's the right word to use. It's when people throw hate languages around, they would add multiple degrading terms together. So it's really hard to decide in that situation which specific bias they have, like what is the specific motivation behind it. So we just try to capture the first two or as many as possible in that cases.
And just to help clarify as well, this is based on the narrative that is written by law enforcement, and you're reading through this narrative to decipher what types are included. Thanks. Commissioner Ferris?
Thank you. My question is related to the January through July comparison between this year and last year. Any reasons, maybe political climate, for the large difference in 2025 in January between 2024 in January? Perhaps?
Based on the data, and Captain McFarlane can certainly say something on this. Based on the data, we cannot make any statement of causation. The data is fairly small. We don't have everything yet. We can probably look next year to see if there's a huge difference. It's a 10% difference, so statistically it's not a very significant difference, but we certainly cannot make any statement regarding that. We get the data, we analyze the data, we cannot make assumptions.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll concur with that. I urge you all to be careful looking at these graphs. Sometimes we look at graphs and they're built so that we can see differences, and then it appears large. And like Dr. Nikki said, this is really a small incremental increase from the year prior. We do not, on the police department, do a comparison from year to year. I'm sure if we were to go back and do forensics and see what was going on in America that time, we can extrapolate and pontificate that maybe something had urged society in one way or another, but we can never be conclusive. So that's all I have to add.
And just to clarify this slide as well, in the last HRC meeting, there was a request for month-to-month comparison, and that's why we did this slide. Moving forward, we might not necessarily do this for that same reason. We need to take the data as is, but if requested, we can do that month-to-month comparison across 2 years. Commissioner Peterson?
Yes. Getting back to what you just said, it seems to me that if you look at where these incidents are occurring, it's kind of like, and I've been on the commission for a while. These areas seem to be consistent in terms of where these incidents are happening, especially concerning is Glen Burnie. And so I think if the commission were wanting to strategize in the strategic planning about what to do to impact these kind of numbers, it would, I think, behoove us to try to figure out what's going on. Is it population change? What is contributing to this? I'm wondering because Glen Burnie has historically been a kind of insular community. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's been kind of like a lot of our communities, insular in terms of its development. They have a lot of long-term residents, like Brooklyn Park area, and I'm wondering if an influx of different kinds of people is leading to some of these things.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point, Commissioner. And certainly the purpose for this data as well is as a hate crime prevention program, as an HRC, how can we be data informed to then be responsive to these various locations? I know anecdotally, and Z, you can get in and check the data again. I know anecdotally, a lot of the complaints we've been hearing when we meet with community residents is sexual orientation, hate bias type of discussions and claims in the Glen Burnie, Brooklyn Park area. And of course, race and ethnic as well. So that's something we can certainly dig into more. But this is a great example of the way the HRC can use this data and partner with the hate crimes prevention program, for instance, to do more listening sessions in these areas, to do more community outreach in these areas. Thank you. Commissioner Dadone?
I'm not, perhaps I am surprised to see that there's such a spike in one region. And to see that and then to add the top three took me to remembering that which is called the Pareto principle that says in general, 80% of your problems come from 20% of your sources. We're not there yet, but when you spoke, Dr. Nikki, you were getting closer to it. You were defining a more distinctly defined something, condition that we might be able to say, this condition is what's really giving rise to the vast majority of our hate bias incidents. How close are you to that?
We're not quite there yet. And again, something we can analyze and come back to you with more detailed information on that. The great thing with having ZU here is for us to look at trend data, is for us to do overlays of locations and types of data. And that's something we can do at this moment because we have, I would say, more comprehensive data. We've also reached out to Annapolis PD and they have agreed to share their data with us for us to get a better picture of Annapolis, because at the moment, the Anne Arundel County PD has one zip code from Annapolis that we get data from. So Annapolis PD is going to share that with us. But certainly something we can do moving forward to give, and we will do moving forward to see where the trends are and what are the correlation, what are the correlations between, for instance, location and types of hate bias incidents. And the percentages you gave isn't far off from criminological theories, right? 7% of the population normally causes 80% of the crime. And this is certainly something that responds to that theory in criminology as well.
I very much appreciate your answer. But I also realize that given the venue, I heard you speaking almost as if you were assuming accountability to the commission. I did not mean to infer that. I want to turn that around. You are the ones doing the hard work. I would like to ask what the commission can help you to do once you get clearer definition of what the origins are.
I would say absolutely outreach and education. That's I would say is 70-80% of the work that we have to do. We have to get folks to report as well. Given the current political climate, we know anecdotally again that there is fear of reporting for various reasons. And so that is something we'll have to focus on moving forward. We assume that there might be more hate bias incidents happening, but we also assume that we'll have less reporting because of the current political climate. So again, how do we go into communities? You all represent a particular region, a particular area in Anne Arundel County. How can you as a commissioner within your region, within your residential area, help to bring this message forward as well and help to share the resources that we have? We've created a brochure in Spanish, English, and Korean. We have a website that we now have. We're having conversations with the Office of the Attorney General on various things. We are creating and will be creating more resources. We have the multidisciplinary advisory team that Commissioner Michael sits on, and we invite others on this commission to join some of the subcommittees that we have as well. Z, you want to stop sharing? I think we're over time. Any last question from anyone? Thank you for your time and patience.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I cannot figure out what his hand is. So are we able to determine the number of individual incidents? Because we're categorizing at least 2 into different buckets. So we may have like 67, for instance, that are categorized in 2 buckets, but really only includes 30 people. So 30 individual incidents. So are we able to do that? And then my other question is, on that last slide where you had the number of arrests, does that mean that they were arrested and charged as a hate bias crime?
Ziyu, can you respond in terms of if we can identify the numbers? The numbers were the ones on the first slide. So those are the numbers. Those are the individual numbers of cases. The breakdown of types is just something Ziyu did based on what we got in the narrative. But the numbers were that first slide with the comparison between 2024 and 2025. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so the number would be 85 incidents in total.
And the second half of your question, forgive me, was for the last slide.
So the number, because there were a number of arrests, does that mean that they were arrested and charged as hate bias crimes at that point instead of incidents?
So when it comes to charged, it's not specifically to hate crime. It's charged with whatever crime they commit, like theft, burglary. Yeah, very few incidents were immediately charged with hate crime.
Thank you, Zia.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sarah?
Yes, Ziyu, well, we have you here with your knowledge of data and data collection. My office does legal work for vulnerable populations, and we are seeing a huge drop off on individuals who are willing to make reports about whether it's their living conditions or to file for protective orders from abuse. And we've seen over the past several months, starting the beginning of the year, we've seen a real drop in people who are willing to come to court or to press charges against people or even report that they're having any problems. As you're compiling this data, are you able to correct for a drop off in people's willingness to report these crimes?
The answer is no, but that would be amazing if we could, right? I think the biggest question we have here is we don't know the real scope of the problem. We don't know what's not being reported.
Right.
And there are definitely other ways to collect data. But for now, based on the data we have, we couldn't really correct for that.
Yeah, we're trying to do the same thing and trying to figure out how many people aren't showing up to court, how many people aren't filing protective orders that otherwise would. And it's very hard to figure out how to do that. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you, Captain McFarlane, for being on and being available to respond to questions. And thank you, ZU.
And now I'll reclaim a little of my time. I just would like to add one more item for my report for this month. The county executive's office is preparing to launch a community well-being index. It is another data tool that our internal and external stakeholders will be able to use to determine how our residents are doing. This is a joint partnership between the Office of Equity and Human Rights and our Arundel Stat team. They've created it's a mapping tool that will drill down to the census tract level. So a person can enter their address into the tool, and they'll be able to see an index of how their particular community is doing with respect to prosperity, with respect to health, with respect to safety, education, a number of indicators that together might constitute community wellness. Not only can an individual look up their own address or another address, the way that the data is presented, there's actually a map, a color-coded map, so you can see how parts of the county are performing relative to each other. We think that this is going to be a game-changing tool. We are presenting it as one part of a larger toolkit that our leaders can use as they attempt to identify problems and issues, as they attempt to allocate resources. Knowing how communities are doing may give them some insight as they make decisions. We can know how to target some of our activities in our work. And so that there will be a press release for that launch next week. I believe it's next week, Tuesday. That press release will come out and it'll describe the tool. It'll show you where the link is. And then our community engagement and constituent services team will be hosting some public sessions. I'm not sure how many of you participate in Engage Arundel, which is a community learning series that's hosted by our Office of Community Engagement and Constituent Services. They are going to be doing an Engage Arundel session about the Community Wellbeing Index, and that will be in October. The date is to be determined. So this is going to be a great tool for nonprofits. It's going to be a great tool for commissions, for our staff, for our directors, to see how we're doing, the state of our community's well-being. And it's a countywide tool. And that's all I have for you for this evening.
Director Smith, sorry to interrupt here and get off of the meeting notes. I thanks for sharing that document, the 8/17 HRC Strategic Planning Retreat. I was looking at the files and the documents, and I kept printing the August 17th, and I know you updated it on the 18th, and I even had that in my file. It's disappeared in the general Gmail Google Drive on mine. And every time I go to print it, it only prints the original August 17th notes and never the updated notes that you had done, which you shared with us. And when I went to go print it, even right now, which you just gave me, it keeps wanting to print the editing notes window over top of the doc. I don't know why that is, but just I wanted to mention it and you and I can talk about it later. But I
Sure,
just
we'll be happy to provide you with a little technical assistance.
Yeah.
If you want to stay on, well, actually, we can't do it through the meeting, but
Yeah.
we'll set up some time and show you how to do it. It might be an issue with the document tabs, so you print the tab while you have it open.
Yeah, it's showing up without the edit until it goes to print, and then it wants to print with the edit window over top of it, which is weird. The other thing I was going to say is because of the great report that Dr. Nikki and
ZU.
ZU was there. Luckily I got my students back, so I think I'd like to start putting the strategic planning and some of these things also on a PowerPoint, so that when we get to January's in-person meeting, that it makes more sense for everybody and it looks as if I actually know what I'm doing. So it's always good, So anyway,
Great.
thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Peterson, are you still with us?
Director Smith, I'm sorry, I should have asked at the end of the presentation if this is something, or if there was anything else that we wanted included in the presentation moving forward, or you all are satisfied with the format that we presented in tonight. I will take that as a yes. Thank you.
Okay. Again, I want to thank Dr. Nikki and ZU for outstanding presentation. Look forward to getting this, and we'll decide. But I think we should get it on a monthly basis, whether we talk about it or the commission gets it, and of course with the advisement that it can't be shared or distributed, and it's for commission use only. Then I imagine we could do that. And I'm looking and seeing that Commissioner Hatcher had a personal issue, so be with us tonight. She got an excused absence, so we don't have a report on the her liaison work with the Annapolis Human Rights. So having said all that, I would like to move for a motion to adjourn our meeting. That's a non-debatable motion.
So moved. I move we adjourn the meeting. The time is 7:31 p.m. for the record.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, there's no discussion or debate. Okay. I want to thank everybody and anyone who was with us through the webinar that we are moving forward. And I want to thank everybody who, commissioners and our other participants, for making this a very productive meeting. Good night, all.